name is Lori Gill. I'm the founder and clinical director of the Attachment and Trauma Treatment Center for Healing. I'm really excited to have Liana Lowenstein here with us today. Liana Lowenstein is a registered clinical social worker, certified play therapist supervisor, certified trauma-focused CBT therapist who has been working with children and their families in Toronto since 1988. Liana presents a variety of trainings across North America and abroad. Recent speaking engagements include China, South Africa, Israel, England, and Australia. She provides clinical supervision to mental health practitioners and consults to mental health agencies. Liana's 12 books on child and family therapy are known internationally for their innovative and practical techniques. She's also the winner of the Monica Hebert Award for Outstanding Contribution to Play Therapy in Canada. We'll post her contact information towards the end of this session. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to have you here. I've been using your resources for years, used them lots when I was a school therapist, and yeah, I regularly recommend you in our trainings because they're such fabulous, engaging, but non-threatening activities for children, youth, and families. So Liana is here today to share some favorite strategies with us that may be helpful during the pandemic. And with that, I'll turn things over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Lori, and for inviting me to do this. I certainly appreciate the invitation, and I've been to your YouTube channel, and I've seen all the amazing things that you're doing and your website, so thank you. So I'm going to present a quick activity that can be used in so many different ways. Either in online therapy sessions with children, as well as face-to-face sessions. And it's a simple game called the red or black card game. And the only materials you need are a regular deck of playing cards. And it begins with the therapist and the child with their caregiver, because the first part of the activity involves the child and their caregiver making a prize bag. Because during the actual activity itself, the child's going to have an opportunity to earn points towards a prize. And the prize bag is not things that the caregiver is going to go out and purchase for the child, but it's prizes that encourage fun family activities. So I give them some guidelines. I say I'm going to read out a couple of ideas for a prize bag, and the child can choose which ones they like best. And I encourage both the child and the parent to come up with their own ideas for the prize bag. So I'll make some suggestions like search a new recipe and cook it together, have a family dance party, build a fort together, search jokes on the internet and make a joke book, snuggle on the couch and look at family keepsake box or family photo albums, make a homemade gift for one another. So those are a couple of ideas. And then for older, for teens, because this can be done with teens as well, things could be like make a TikTok together, which is very trendy these days with teens. I know I've been making TikToks with my 15-year-old daughter. Play frisbee golf indoors or outdoors, watch funny YouTube videos together. So those are a couple of ideas for the older clients. So once they've created the prize bag, you then meet with the child alone, and the instructions for the red or black card game are, if you're, let's say, using a general version of it, you might introduce it by saying, this is a game that's going to help you talk about your thoughts and feelings. I'm going to pick the top card from the deck of cards. If it's a red card, you get 1 point. And if it's a black card, you're going to answer one of my questions. And you get 2 points when you answer the question. And we'll play until you've answered all the questions. And at the end of the game, you can trade in points for a prize. So if you get up to 10 points, you get to pick one thing from the prize bag you just made with your caregiver. And if you get 11 or more points, you get to pick 2 things. So 2 fun things to do with your family or with your caregiver. So examples of like a more general version of the game with sort of general questions. I always begin with just a neutral question like, tell about something that makes you feel happy or excited. Then I might ask, tell about something that makes you feel sad or worried. Tell about something that you appreciate about your family. Tell about something that you wish you could change about your family. Um, Say two things you hope I can help you with. Say three wishes you have. So those are some examples for kind of a more general version of the game. If you want to use the game to help the child talk about the impact of the pandemic, then you might ask questions like, um, say two things you've been enjoying doing at home since the pandemic. Say two new rules you've had to follow since the pandemic and how you feel about those rules. Say two worries you have about coronavirus. Um, Say two things you really miss doing since coronavirus has made you stay home. Say two things you can do to help yourself feel better when you're feeling upset or angry or worried. So you can see here how you can take this activity and really modify it for so many different uses. You could use it with a child who's dealing with bereavement and ask questions related to the loss. You can use it with a child who's witnessed domestic violence and ask questions related to that. So you can make it more trauma focused. So be creative and adapt it in whichever way is going to be relevant and engaging for the client that you're using it with. And then, of course, the prize bag encourages fun family interaction, which is, I think, so very important all the time, but especially now during the pandemic.
So, how would you suggest therapists could go about processing after doing this activity?
So I'm so glad that you asked me that question because I think it's so important that therapists always want to process these activities. I think people get very excited about my activities and they get very kind of task focused, like, oh, I'm going to do this activity. This is such a fun game. And they may not always think about how to take an activity like this and really process it appropriately because it's the processing of it that's going to make it a therapeutic intervention. So let's say the question is tell about something that makes you feel worried. And the child says, well, I'm worried that the pandemic is never going to end and I'll never be able to see my friends. Well, the therapist would then want to normalize and validate those feelings. Say something like, you know, that's a really big worry. And I think it's something that a lot of us really worry about. You know, rather than sort of moving directly to trying to fix it, like, well, you know, the pandemic's not going to last forever. You know, I think sometimes therapists rush too soon to kind of fix and make it better. But really what we want to do is really give kids a safe environment where they can express whatever feelings they're experiencing and to just normalize those feelings and validate those feelings. And then asking further open-ended exploratory questions like, you know, tell me more about how you're feeling about the pandemic, or what are some other things that you feel worried about? So the processing of it is so important.
Thank you. Very true. And I think one of the things, this just came up actually in our staff supervision an hour ago, is boredom, right? People are feeling really bored right now. Routine really lulls the brain to sleep, and we're in this kind of stuck state. So I think just allowing that to be there, validating that, but also looking at, okay, what else can we do that would be helpful is great. So
Yeah. Yes.
wonderful. Thank you. You have so many great resources in your books. And I was just discussing this in one of our group supervision sessions recently that a lot of those activities I'm sure can be adapted for online use. Do you have any suggestions or resources you'd point people towards?
Well, I think many of the activities from my books can certainly be used for online therapy. So I would really just encourage people who have my resources to just kind of go through the activities and think about how they might be used. Also, I have taught a 2-hour webinar specific to creative ways of working with children online. And people can access the recorded version of that webinar on my website. There's a link to purchase this 2-hour webinar. So if you go to my website, which is lianalowenstein.com, you click on workshops and webinars, and then you'll see my various offerings, including this recorded webinar. Also, I just want to alert people, there's lots of free stuff on my website. I've really tried to make my website a free hub of resources. I think especially now when, times are tough financially for many people and they can't afford to go out and buy books. So lots of free stuff on my website. There's a free ebook of child and family therapy techniques. There's articles for both mental health professionals as well as for parents. There's techniques. And also people can sign up for my newsletter, which also comes out 4 times a year and has lots of techniques and articles and so on. So
That's fabulous. And, it really is a wealth of resources. I remember even when I taught child and youth work years ago, your online activity book was one of the reads that I posted, and people would sign up for it and use it as part of their activity programming. So really great resources. Well, thank you so much for that. This has been really wonderful, and I wish you well in your practice and appreciate your time today.
thank you so much, Lori, and all the best to you.
Yes, take care.